What is up guys, and welcome back to the channel, and what a day we have today. I'm here with the brand new SP, the SP404 MK2, and this is just such an exciting day for Roland, for the community, for the channel. This is the first major release we've had since I've started this channel. I think that just puts things into perspective a little bit. We had the 404A, which was a bit of a disappointing update for the community, I think, because there wasn't really much in terms of the actual device that got updated apart from the colours and some additional software that was inside that box to help it sync up with other Roland products. But guys, this really is a huge update, and I'm super excited to be sharing this with you. I want to say a massive shout out to Roland for hooking up with me about this and getting this unit to me. I've actually had this for a few weeks and it has been absolutely excruciating keeping this a secret from you guys. Obviously we were really disappointed about the leaks that came out, because we wanted this to be a huge surprise and I was kind of going to be a part of it as well. So when the leaks came out, it was kind of a bit disappointing, but at the same time I think it built a little bit of hype as well. So we're here now anyway, and I can finally talk about it. So yeah, I do want to apologise to everyone that's kind of asked me about this product, and I've had to sort of dance around the topic a little bit because I was actually under contract with Roland not to say anything until today. So this is the first time I've been allowed to actually talk about this publicly. And yeah, like I say, I've had this I think I've had this a couple of months, so I've had time to get acquainted with it. I've had time to start looking at the new features, and I have had a draft manual, not the full finished version yet, so I don't know absolutely every detail yet, and obviously I'm taking in a lot of information about this device. So I'm getting there slowly, and this is going to be a long video, guys. What I want to do in this video is talk about loads of the new features on this unit. Now, I'm not going to go into extreme details here. I'm actually just going to kind of do a whistle-stop tour of all the new features. Some of them I will demonstrate, others I will just literally explain how or what it does and not actually show you guys, because I'm going to be doing a lot of videos about this product in the future, obviously. So I don't want to do basically 20, 30 videos all compressed into one. I want to do a whistle-stop tour of everything that this can do, show you some of the key ones, which I think are amazing. And then later down the line, obviously, I'll be looking at each individual aspect of this product and doing it in much more detail. So yeah, again, a huge shout out to Roland. I've been in touch with them over the past few months regularly. I don't want to name names in case they don't want to be named. So just want to say thanks to the team there, and thank you for getting this out to me. I'm absolutely ecstatic about this release. It's such a huge update to the SX or the A, and yeah, guys, I think you're going to love some of the new features on this. So let's get this set up on the table, guys, because I am desperate to show you about these new features. I think you're going to absolutely love them, and this really is a serious update. So yeah, let's get this set up, let's get the different cameras set up, and let's start talking about these new features, because I'm super excited to show you. Okay guys, so here we are at the device, and as you can see, it's pretty similar, but there are a lot of differences under the hood, and there are big differences in certain things as well. So obviously I'll go into more detail about those, but the first thing we notice is the 4 dials at the top. They're super similar to the last model, although they've got a way better feel to them. They feel just a bit more solid in your fingers. I actually really like the feel of those. You've got the 6 effects buttons and the MFX button. I'll go into more detail about this, but these are changeable as well. The screen is massively updated. I'll get that turned on in a minute, but I want to move the device around a little bit first. This is brand new. This is called the value button, and this has got the kind of MPC click to it. Hopefully you can hear that, and that is also a push button as well. So that is for zooming in and out on the screen, going through the menus, going through dialog menus and all that kind of thing. That's the job of this, and the button is used to confirm stuff as well. A little bit further down, we're looking very similar. Start, end, pitch, speed, mark, a few new features straight away on the buttons, but generally speaking, that's quite similar to what we're used to already. Moving down a little bit further, obviously 16 pads now, which is brilliant. I absolutely love the fact that they've managed to squeeze these on. This is only slightly taller than the 404 SX and the A, but they've managed to squeeze a whole row of extra pads on. So 16 pads in the bank, absolutely perfect. That always seems to be a kind of nice amount to have. And obviously very similar to the MPC now in the sense that we've got access to 16 per bank. So hopefully you can see this properly. I'm kind of holding it at an angle so the light's catching it right. We've got 2 inputs for the headphones, which is a really nice touch. So if you don't have those adapters, you won't need to worry about that anymore. And also if your headphones do require an adapter, you don't have to be worrying about changing it anymore every time you need to use this device. This will be super handy for me using the 202 and this all the time. It will mean if I want to change between the two with my headphones, I don't need to put the adapter on, which used to be really, really annoying. We've got the input here, and there's a choice between mic and guitar. Now, this is to do with impedance. So depending on what device you're using, you can change between the two. There's no internal mic anymore, which is a bit of a shame, but obviously we have that input, so we could just put mic into there if we need to. On the back of the device, very similar. We've got the battery compartment like the old one, so we are still on batteries. It requires 6 AA batteries, and there's arguments for and against this. So batteries are always going to be available, really. They're pretty solid, whereas internal batteries can actually die over time, and then you're kind of stuck with that battery, so that is quite a good argument for it. You could also get rechargeable ones as well to make it a bit more eco-friendly and a bit more friendly to the wallet as well. At the top on the side here, that's where the SD card goes in now. It's through the top, which is quite cool. And yeah, not really much to talk about in that. It's SD, and yeah, that's where it goes in. And here we go. This is where we see a big update on the top. We've got the same sort of input for the power. We've got the power on and off. We've got USB-C, which according to the current manual, which I've got, that is actually able to stream music through. So you can stream music from your devices and record. We've got MIDI in and out, but they're the 3.5mm jack inputs. Line in, line out, they've completely ditched phono, and now we've got double jack, the 3/4 inch jacks for both of those. So that's a big update, and I think a few people have already mentioned about that being a really good news. So I'm not savvy enough technically to know the difference, but I assume you can get a better signal through these. I don't know. Please let me know in the comments below if you know why. The other side is completely blank, and yeah, that's pretty much everything physically. And yeah, overall this is a lot lighter than the 404SX as well. That's something that I noticed straight away. I was holding the two together, and this is incredibly light, so that's really good news as well, because obviously Roland have stuck with the portable feel of this. They've stuck with the smaller size, and the fact that it's become even lighter just means it's going to be even better. Carrying this around, it's going to be even easier. So the next thing I want to do is get this plugged in, and I can start talking about some of the features to you. So let's get the power in, and let's get this switched on, and you'll see that nothing actually happens when you switch it on straight away. Then we get this, and kind of a cool little animation to say it's the Mark II. And now you can see the screen for the first time. So the screen is a huge update, basically. I'll get into more detail about that in a minute. And yeah, as you can tell from me showing you around this and the intro as well, that generally speaking, there's a much more modern and sleek look to this. So they've kind of killed off the classic vibe of this device completely now. And this has become a much slicker looking product. And at first I was a little disappointed with the look. I thought they may have tried to keep things a bit classic, but the more I've looked at this and the more I've used it, it does make sense to modernise the feel of it, I think, and I've actually started to like it. I want to move on to the buttons next. So the buttons at the top, very similar to what they were like on the SX and the A. They've got that nice kind of spongy feel. They're very rubberised, but they're definitely not as clicky as the SX, the stock ones. They're very similar to the fat pads that I've picked up for mine. Same applies to these. They've got a nice spongy kind of feel to them. And down here, the 1 to 16 pads, first of all, they're velocity sensitive, which is just crazy, but you can set fixed velocity as well. There you go, fixed velocity off, fixed velocity on. Really easy, it's just a shift and 1. And they've got a very firm feel to them. The profile of them is much lower than the previous versions. And then the row down the side here, they've got more of a clicky feel to them. It's actually only these 3 buttons. Subpad is the same. Subpad's got that kind of firm feel to it. But the 3 buttons down here are much more like clicky, and the ones in the center have got like a really firm feel to them. So they're really nice to play. And yeah, overall the pads feel amazing there. It's a massive update to the stock pads that you got on the SX. The fat pads on the SX I actually kind of like, but still these are definitely an improvement. So yeah, really happy with the update on that. I think you guys are going to like the feel of the pads. It feels much more like a serious sampler now rather than a toy. It's kind of moving away from that toy vibe. This is becoming a serious piece of gear. And yeah, the pads really do help to add to that kind of premium feel of this product. Okay, so the first feature I'm going to show you is the 16 levels. So we now have 16 levels on this device, and we have Chromatic as well. So I've got this little sample in here, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how these two work. So first of all, I'll show you velocity. 16 velocity, which is button 2. So what you have to do is hit the pad you want to do it to first. So I'm going to do that to pad 1, and then I'm going to do shift and 2. As you can see there, exactly like the MPC, the velocity slowly decreases the further you get down to the bottom left hand of the bank that you're working in. So quickly moving on to Chromatic, that's Shift and 4. Sounds super nice, and the pitch bending on those samples, or the time stretching, sounds absolutely perfect as well. It sounds really nice. So pitching those down on this scale adds a really nice vibe to these samples, as you could hear from that. So they're the two modes that you can apply to the 16 pads. Now the next thing you're all going to be desperate to hear about this, it's the pitch speed, and straight away guys, you can feel very relieved about this because the pitch shifting is brilliant. So let's go ahead and get out of this by pressing exit. Let's use this one. Let's use this sample again, and all you have to do is go to pitch and speed, and we'll bring this down. And how good does that sound? There's no artifacts on it whatsoever. It just sounds really nice, and you can obviously pitch up as well. Absolutely incredible stuff from Roland on that. And as you can see there, you're getting way more information on the screen now as well. The dialogue is a lot more detailed. It's showing us the speed, it's showing us the BPM that you're changing it to. If you hold shift there, you can see it's saying if you hold shift and use the dial, then it's going to fine tune that. The pitch mode is in vinyl at the moment, and yeah, it says the volume as well. So the pitch shifting, it's incredible guys. It's not got the same character as you have on the 202, obviously. That's going to be basically impossible to replicate, but as a pitch shifter, you're getting no artifacts, you're getting a really smooth sound from it, so overall, absolutely no complaints with me. Obviously, you can dirty it up with the MFX later anyway. So yeah, we've finally got a 404 with really good pitch shifting, so super happy with that update. Okay, another quick one which we've got over here is roll, which is quite an interesting one. So we've got a roll button here, and what this actually does is a kind of, you know, like a hi-hat rolling trap or something like that. And you can change the timing of the roll as well by holding shift. As you can see underneath it says roll set, and we can change that to whatever we want, up to 1/64, 1/64. So if we did want to go and try that on a hi-hat, we could hold this one. And you get the roll effect like that. So that's a nice little button that they've included, and a cool little effect which obviously we'll be having a lot of fun with, experimenting, seeing what ideas we can come up with that. Okay, moving on to the pattern side of things. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate all these things because it's going to take too long, and this video is going to be a long one anyway, but great news for everyone, you can resample patterns. Now, obviously that is huge for us, so it works in exactly the same way as resample. All you do is you set up resample and record, you go into your pattern and start playing it, and it will just record that onto a pad on the bank that you've selected before you've gone into pattern select. So yeah guys, that's here as well. We can now get pattern select, we can use that pattern, we can resample it onto a pad and start adding effects and messing around with that as well. And on the pattern select as well, another feature which I think is really cool is you can now chain patterns together exactly like you can on the PO33. So you can tap in which patterns you want to use in which order, and it'll play through them in that order. So that's another great feature that they've added. With patterns as well, they've also introduced this thing which I'm not going to go into either, because I'm going to end up doing a whole video about pattern select because there's so much new stuff in there. You can now copy patterns and then connect them back together again. You can concatenate them. So that's just unreal. And then also you can trim bits out that you don't want as well. So it's just unreal how much detail they've gone into with this update, guys. There's just so many more features, and I'm only about halfway through already here. So big wholesale changes on the pattern select mode, and I'll be doing a completely separate video about that, but yeah, super exciting stuff on that. Another huge update, you can blend internal and external recording. Now, wow, we wanted this so badly. This has definitely got to be a feature that if you could choose to have it, you would have it. So you can now choose when you're doing external source, you can either choose whether you want to have it as a mix or completely as external. So yeah, you can blend both what's inside the box and with what's coming into the box as well, like you can on the 303. So that's a huge update, which is amazing. I know it's already been done on the 303, but it's great that that's back inside this unit. Okay, the next big thing is FX buses. Now I need to spend a bit more time getting to know this, but I do understand the general concept. This bus FX over here has got 2 buses, and basically what you can do is assign effects to those buses, and then you can assign those effects to different pads. So you could have some pads with bus 1, some pads with bus 2, and then there's also an additional 2 other buses. So bus 3 and bus 4, what you can do with those is set effects on them that apply to everything inside the unit. So you get control over 2 effects that you have on the pads, and then you get control over what's going on over all of the pads as well. So there's effect stacking now, unreal stuff again. We were able to stack more than one effect. And yeah, you can say, so let's say for example in this bus 1 we want to have an effect of 404 vinyl sim, and in bus 2 maybe we want this new lo-fi effect. And I'll just turn that down for now, but as you can hopefully see there, we now have bus 1 with 404 vinyl sim and bus 2 with lo-fi. And if you want to turn those off, you just select the one you want and press the MFX button again, and that bypasses it. So if I hit that again, you can see it's back on. Press it again, it bypasses it, depending on which one you've got highlighted. So you can just bring those in and out, which is really cool. And yeah, like I mentioned as well, those additional buses 3 and 4, you can assign effects to those and have all these effects stacked. It's just so much better than what we had on the SX. It's so much more flexible. So yeah, loads we can do with that, and very exciting stuff. There are new effects. I'll go through those in a separate video as well, because obviously I don't want to go through every single effect on this video. But yeah, there's new effects. There's scatter, downer, how do, Kodama, Zanzu. I don't know what these do. Yeah, Tuguro, SBF, stopper, tape echo, time control delay, super filter, WRM saturator, 303 vinyl sim, 303 vinyl sim on an SP404. What the hell? Brilliant. 404 vinyl sim, cassette sim, lo-fi, and then reverb, chorus, Juno chorus, flanger, phaser, wah, slicer, tremolo pan, chromatic, hyper resonator, ring mod, crusher, overdrive, distortion, equalizer, and compressor. So a lot of effects there, and they're all the effects in the MFX rack. And then obviously we've got the filter, the isolator, resonator, DJ effects looper, and delay up here. Now I actually saw a comment saying, why have they designated a button to DJ effects looper or Y to resonator? Guess what? It doesn't matter, because you can change what these buttons are assigned to. So you hit shift and effect settings, which is 16, and you get these menus. It's originally shown in bus 1 and bus 2, 3 and 4. You scroll across using dial 4 and you get to direct. And as you can see now here, the filter is flashing, and then you can just change what's actually assigned to that pad. So that's incredible. You can have all your favorite effects up here instead of the stock ones, which are labeled on here. Obviously it's a little bit confusing because the button names are on there. Maybe it would have been cool if they just called this effect 1 to 6, and then you could assign whatever you wanted to it. But yeah, I mean, you can still do it, so that's really cool. Okay, probably one of the most exciting features that they've included in here is this feature called Skipback sampling, which is just unreal. So basically, I don't know if you can see here, but my mark button is constantly flashing on and off. It's kind of pulsing. And what this is doing is it's listening to everything that's going on inside the device constantly. And if you pause for a second, it will pause itself and then it starts again. And I think it does it for approximately 25 to 26 seconds. And what that'll do, it's just unbelievable, this feature. You can play something and it will store that, and then you can go and assign it to a pad. So I'm going to attempt to try and show you something here real quick. Obviously, time is of the essence in this video because there's a lot to get through. Okay, so I've got something here, I've got a few chops. This is nothing serious, guys. This is purely just to show you how this works. Let's just jam a little thing out and then I'll show you how you can access it. and then you go to mark, and you can see it says Skipback, and you can see the waveform of what you've just performed. So you can then use subpad to play through it. And you can use the dials to select the start and end point, so you can edit the waveform in here. And you can zoom in using this dial as well, so you can get this super, super precise. Using the value dial, I've zoomed right in here, you can see, and I'm getting right at the start of that. And then I can do menu, I can truncate it. Okay, so once I've trimmed that and done what I want to do with it, I then hit record, and then you can save that to a pad. So select pad to save. I'm just going to hit it on 16. It does it straight away. Operation complete. I'll come out of that. And that bit which I was just performing is now on a pad, and I can resample it and add effects and all that kind of thing. So that feature is absolutely unreal. So as long as this mark button is pulsing, this device is listening to what you're performing. Unbelievable feature that. I really, really like that, and I think that's going to be huge for the beatmaking community. I can't wait to do an actual video just based on that particular feature. I think it's just so cool. Now, you've already seen there, I gave you a little bit of a hint that you can actually now edit samples on the screen. So let's go ahead and go across this other bank. So I've got this little sample here, and I can just go to start and end. And again, you can use this value dial to zoom in and out. And you can see here that at the start of the sample, there's a bit which I don't want, there's a bit of dead space. So I can just use this dial to trim it. That's my start point. And you can trim the end point as well. Hopefully you can see there's an S and an E at either end, which is just obviously start and end. So I've trimmed that, and then you just hit the value button and you do truncate. It does what it needs to do. You come out of that and the start has been cut off. Absolutely brilliant. And you can also envelope that as well. So if you do shift and pitch speed, you then just use dials 2 and 4 again, and I hope you can see this as well, that it's actually adding an envelope to the start in terms of the volume, and you can set the release as well. I don't want anything on this one, but you can imagine that if you want that ducking effect for your kick to come through, like a side chain compression effect, you could do this to the start of your samples. So that is absolutely awesome that you can do that as well. So there's a couple of little features to do with trimming samples and working with samples. And the next thing that I want to show you is chop mode. Now, this is just incredible as well. I absolutely love this. So if I've got this sample, I want to chop it up. I don't want to use just this whole sample. So you do shift and start end, and you can see underneath it says chop. And I'm going to go ahead and start playing this, and it's going to highlight the pads afterwards for me to set new chop points. So let me show you what it does. You can go ahead and preview those like I just did there, so you can preview your mark points. And then when you're happy with it, you do mark and you do assign it to a pad, or you can delete all marks, or you can do auto mark as well if you want to. Assign to pad. So here it's basically saying you've done 5 chops, which pads do you want those 5 chops on? So you just go through, assign them, and then you press enter on the value dial. And now, those chops. Obviously, I've not chopped them very well. I'd have to go back and do those properly, and I could truncate them and everything, but you get the idea with that, guys. That's super, super cool. So you can just sample in large sections of audio and then use that to chop them up instead of having to do it individually or using that old school resample method, which we used to do with resample and mark. So that's dead now. You can just use the chop feature, and it's unbelievable and very, very useful. Okay, another thing that you can do is pad link group. So you can actually set things to trigger at the same time. So I need to get some drums back for this. Let me see where I can find them. Okay, so I've got a snare, hi-hat, and a kick here, and I want to, let's say I want the hi-hat and the snare to trigger at the same time. For no particular reason other from this example, you can see here it says 7, pad link. You hit that. I've hit the 2 samples that I want to be linked, and then that's it. All you have to do is press exit. And I'll just add another one actually, because that's not that obvious. I'll just add the kick as well. come out of it. And hopefully you can hear they're all triggering at the same time now, but you only have to press 1. That's really, really cool. To undo that, you do have to go back in and untick them, which is slightly annoying, but I mean, it's a great feature and that's not much of a sacrifice to have to make. Another one as well, this is another huge update, mute groups. Wow. So let's set up a mute group. Shift mute group. You select the pads that you want to be in a mute group. You come out of it. Let's take gate off so I can show you this. Turn this up a bit. How good is that? And then you can just go into mute group again and unselect them if you don't want them anymore and press escape. Brilliant. Really, really cool feature. We've been craving that for a long, long time. So that's really, really awesome. Right, another feature is you can control the loop point on a loop now. You can change it. So hopefully I can remember how to do this one properly. So let's go into something. So let's set this to loop. And now when you go into start end, you can see there's L, S, and E. So L at the top left, I hope you can see that. That's telling you where the loop point is. So basically what you have to do is go inside of start and end, and then when a sample is playing, you can hold that. You can hit loop, and then you can use Control 3 to control when that loops. So what that'll do is it'll play from the start to the end, and then when it comes around to loop, it will play from the loop point. So hopefully this makes sense. I'll show you now. Really, really cool. And then you can just move that around to wherever you want and put that back to the start if you want it to start from the start. But that just means we can get the loops super slick now, and also we've got all the trimming and everything as well. So we're going to be able to get samples working so much better on this. It's not going to be guesswork anymore, especially with being able to see the waveforms as well. Another feature which I can't actually remember how to do off the top of my head, but you can now copy and paste all pads from one bank into another directly. So it's a simple key command. I can't exactly remember how to do it, but yeah, basically that's a feature that's there. You can select the pad, and on the screen it'll say which bank do you want to move all these samples to, or do you want to copy them to, sorry. It chooses them all, you select it, you press enter, and it does it. Another great feature which will definitely be useful at some point when you're making beats, I'm sure. Okay, the last thing that I wanted to talk about is DJ mode. Now, this is something, again, that I need to spend a little bit more time doing it as well. And to access this, you press both of these buttons together, and you can see here at the top it says channel 1 and channel 2, and these are basically, you've got like effects that you can apply to whatever samples you've got assigned to channel 1 and channel 2. You can fade them in and out using the dials. I don't know if you can see the screen here, but they've got faders, so you can fade in and out. You can do little tricks like bend the samples, you can change the BPM, you can increase and decrease the BPM. So basically everything that you can see on these buttons, these little sort of tooltips in the bottom left hand corner, they're for DJ mode, and they're things you can do with it. So you can sync with it, you can skip back, and you can see it's the same on both sides because you can do that to channel 1 and then you can do it to channel 2 as well. Fade between the two, it's really crazy. I don't know how much it will get used for me, to be honest. I don't see why you'd only ever want to mix between two channels, but it's a super interesting feature, and obviously I'll look at these things in more detail further down the line, so maybe there is some sort of practical usage for it. We can explore that at a later date, but basically, yeah, that's another insane feature that they've built in this DJ effects mode. And one other thing that I wanted to mention as well is that you can export projects. So you can export projects onto the SD card if you want to use them on another SP404 Mark II. So if someone else has got one, you want to take some projects around and show them, you can save them to your SD card, you can take those projects and you can plug them into another SP and play them out of that. Another brilliant feature, I think, and that makes it like a super sociable unit to use. So it's just in the utility area again. Do you want to quit DJ mode? Sorry, yes. So we go to Shift Utility, and there we go. We've got the import. We've got export, format the SD card. So yeah, you can export your projects
take them to another device and use them on there. Again, I'll show you guys all these things in more detail at a later date, but that's another very, very interesting feature, and it's something that I look forward to exploring in a bit more detail. So I've gone through a lot of stuff there, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you stuck around, thank you hugely to Roland for setting me up with this product, and I hope this video has been to your taste, guys. I'm super hyped about this product. I've tried to cover as much as I can there, and I think there's some insane features that are available, and obviously, like I've mentioned a couple of times in this video, I'm going to be covering these in much more detail in the future, so stick around, become a subscriber, and you can learn way, way more about this device. But for now, I think that's quite a detailed whistle-stop tour of what's going on with this new device. There are more features than I've mentioned. BPM sync, there's all sorts of other things going on, guys. I will get to them, I will cover them, but all in good time. Otherwise, this video would have ended up being about 3 or 4 hours long. So yeah, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope this video has been fun to watch as well. Please stick a thumbs up on it. And yeah, like I mentioned, don't forget to subscribe, because there's going to be more content coming about this, and obviously all my other samplers that I've got as well. See you all soon for the next video, guys. Keep making beats, and I will be back with another upload in the next few days. Peace!